Hello, I'm Roy Richardson, and this is the Dynamic Business Leaders Podcast. Welcome to this edition of the Dynamic Business Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Roy Richardson, together with my co-host, Sean Murphy. The Dynamic Business Leaders Podcast is sponsored by Aurora Infotech, a cybersecurity firm that serves the information security needs of small and medium-sized businesses. Today, our guest is someone who has built a career at the intersection of strategic growth, community leadership, and professional service innovation. He's a sought-after advisor, a former collegiate athlete, and a civic leader who has chaired organizations like ACG Global and Florida Citrus Sports. As Chief Growth Officer at Rehmann, he is helping shape the future of professional services through mergers, acquisitions, and brand strategy, all while staying deeply connected to his community. Please join us in welcoming Steve Castino. Steve, welcome. It's great to have you with us, and we're looking forward to sharing your journey with our audience.
Well, thanks, Roy. Excited to be here today, and I'm just thanks to you and Sean for asking me to be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, folks and listeners, in today's episode, we're going to explore Steve's journey from finance to executive leadership, his community impact, lessons learned, and his vision for the future. Let's start by getting to know you a little better, Steve.
Roy, you have no idea how happy I am to have this guy on the podcast with us. You could tell from the moment I met Steve that he was going places. He was sharp as nails, all about the business. And we've known each other for around 20. So when we were looking for folks to be a part of our podcast, he's at the top of the list. So Steve, from my heart, man, I'm glad you took the moment to come and join us, and let's share with the world your story, and especially here in Florida. So.
Boy, what an intro that is, fellas. I'm touched. I'm just honored that you asked me to be on it. We'll see. I told Roy, I hope a couple people, maybe one or two people will listen. I don't know how interesting my story is, but we're going to have some fun, and I appreciate it very much. And best intro I've ever had. I promise you that.
There'll be a lot more people that's going to hear the story and it's going to appreciate it because, again, you have an incredible story.
Sean, on that note, why don't you take us beyond the boardroom and kick us off?
But listen, let's kick off this with something light. What one thing most people don't know about you?
That I'm a Minnesotan. I think most people think I'm a Floridian. I'm a Minnesotan. I grew up in Minnesota my whole life, came down Collins College on a baseball scholarship back in 1998, so a long time ago. Met my wife, who, Sean, you know well. You all met through church. First Presbyterian over there many years ago. And
Right.
If you know anything about a Florida girls, you're not going to get them to move to Minnesota. So I always joke around and I say, Brooke said she'd marry me, but she said, I'm not moving to Minnesota. So she didn't really say that, but I think she probably would have. But so I think I'm considered a Floridian these days, but I grew up my whole life through high school in Minnesota and had a great experience up there. Still a sports fan, but I've turned into a Floridian for sure.
Well, I know I'm going to correct you on something because I know Brooke's a native and I married a native as well. And I've been in Florida a lot longer than you. And the fact that you said you think you're a native, I know you haven't brought that up to Brooke because she would smack you on the back of your neck.
That is true.
Because Dana does not. I've been here since I was 14 and she's like, you are not a native. So don't say it.
They take pride in that. Is true Floridians take pride in that.
Here from Minnesota, we know that embraced the state and for what the state was going to offer, and you picked up golf in a major way. I know that you have this yearning for the state, but you competed in the Florida State Golf Association golf tournaments. What were your favorite courses or most memorable round that you've had?
Oh boy, I just played at some of those amateur events and it was really fun. A lot of those courses were really fun. There's a course called Coral Creek down outside Boca Grande. That's one of my
Okay.
favorites. It's hard to beat Calusa Pines down in Naples. That's just an awesome course down there. Those are probably my two favorite Florida courses. Seminola course down in Palm Beach is awesome.
I was about to ask you. I'm named two on the West Coast, which
Yeah.
So you brought up Seminole. I was going to ask you if you had anything on.
I don't think you can beat those three courses. Those are three phenomenal courses in the state. And home course here in Winter Park is getting redone by Fazio right now, and so I'm a homer in that way. So I love that course. It'll reopen in January or maybe December, but we're really excited about that. But it's been fun ever since after college. No more baseball, and golf was just great for me. And I was fortunate to meet some friends throughout the game of golf as well.
Any memorable moments, rounds you've had?
I've had a few. Yeah, I've got some great memories. Honestly, it was awesome, but it's probably the more memorable rounds for me are probably who I'm playing with, the buddies, the new people you meet, the relationships you meet. I just feel like golf, you get to know how they treat the staff, what kind of etiquette they have out there, how they react after a bad shot, those types of things that you just get to know more about people and just athletics in general. I'm a huge sports guy. I love
Right.
sports. I appreciate sports, but I will remember, like, people say, enjoy this basketball game, enjoy this baseball game, enjoy this football game, because you're not going to be able to play forever. And you think about it when you're doing it, and you're like, this person, my dad probably mainly doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going to play this game forever. And, he was right, as he usually was in life. So, but yeah,
Right.
and I are still fans of sports for sure, but golf's kind of all I can do as an old body nowadays. So been fun.
Is that a Rollins number 7 on the back?
Yeah, my dad and I actually both played there, and so we share that, which is really fun.
Legacy.
Yeah, it's
Very,
fun. So we both played there.
very
Nice.
cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned something there just now about old bodies. The opportunity last year through partners with Brett Locker here, and
Oh yeah.
last year they're a major sponsor here of the Orlando Magic, and so they
Yeah.
had this camp where you got to go in the afternoon and get on the floor, and they had some of the NBA coaches from the Magic actually. We played a pickup game,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, I used to be a very good basketball player, man. And look at the floor and you're like, I can do this. And you start realizing, the age is catching up and it's a lot different. So I hear you. Years ago, I wouldn't have believed it.
It
Right,
goes
right, right.
fast, Roy. I'm 46 today, but joke, I was like, I have to do a specific workout now so I don't hurt myself.
Right.
But I mean, it's all about my workout. I don't know if you can call it that. It's more about stretching.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're young 46 though, man. I was thinking more like 40. Okay.
Yeah,
Doing what you're
I
doing.
keep inching up to up closer and closer to 50 somehow.
Right, right. Well, listen,
It's not that bad once you went there.
It's better
right.
than the alternative, right?
It most certainly is, man. But listen, let now that we've done these, just a little bit of a warm up. Let's go and get into your professional journey, which again, I could be a part of early on in your career. And like I said, I'm not surprised where you're at, the chief growth officer of a fantastic firm. But over the last 20-something years, from finance to leading growth at Rehmann, what was the turning point that led you into the executive leadership role that you're in?
Well, it's interesting. I'll go through this journey as I can, but it's a fairly interesting story, at least in my world. I out of Rollins, I was an economics major, and then I for a year in finance, and then went back and got my MBA in finance, and was a financial analyst for a couple years for a local company here in Orlando. And around that time, I was getting married, and I was introduced to a gentleman named Terry Weiler, who was the founder of Vestal and Weiler. It was a small CPA firm that had been around in Orlando for years. And he said, hey, we're looking for someone with a financial background to really grow this firm. He said, we're really good at the work, but we need someone to get out there and grow this. Terry and Tim and they were current partners at the time, really connected and had some success early on. And we got firm together, which was a lot of fun. Terry ended up retiring, and we bought him out January 1st, 2009. Just kind of firm and continued to grow it and had a lot of fun with that. November 1st, 2022, we merged. A couple of my partners had retired prior to that, but we ended up merging with Rehmann. Thought it was the right thing to do in merging was our clients continued to get bigger and bigger. They continued to need more services. They were getting more complicated. They needed international. They needed state and local. They needed R&D credit studies. They needed all these things, and we were having to outsource some of that work. And I thought that the best thing to do, the best thing for our clients and the best thing for our staff was to merge with a larger firm. So I ran a process and firms and met Rehmann and realized it was the best firm for us. And I've been really proud to be part of Rehmann for almost 3 years now. We had, I think at the time, 58 employees came over. 2 years after merge, I think 56 of those 58 were still there, which is just a real tribute to Rehmann and our team and the client. It's been a marriage. Sean, I don't know if I fully answered your question though, because you asked where my role has gone. When we merged, I was not sure what that would mean for me, but our CEO at the time was in the process of, actually she wasn't even the COO at the time. She was in the process of creating an executive team, and she asked me, if I'd be part of that or whether I'd like to, do something that seemed intriguing to me. So now I'm part of the executive leadership team at Rehmann, which there's 5 of us on that team, and it's been great. I oversee growth firm, both organic and inorganic growth.
Wow, that's an amazing share.
Right.
You have now with Raymond, you're overseeing, over 1,000 in Florida, Michigan, Ohio, very, very strong reputation. What really separates your firm from other professional service firms?
I think if you ask 100 people in this world what separates them from other professional service firms, I think you're probably going to get similar answers. People are going to say, well, our culture is better, our people are better. I don't think that firms have better cultures or better people. I think it's different, right? I think that our culture is perfect for what we're doing and who we're serving. I was running a process of meeting different firms. Every firm that came in, there was about 7 firms that came in. Everyone said, we have the best culture. Well, how can every single firm have the best culture? Again, it's just different cultures. So I would tell you, we put people first. That is our mission. We put people first. There's no question about it. And at the end of the day, we do what's right for people. And that means our clients, that means our staff. And again, I think a great example of that is, 2 years after the merger, or 56 of the 58 people were still here in Orlando anyway. And our retention rate is charts. I think it's profession. So we've got a good culture. People really enjoy working here. We're not perfect. Real honest, we're not perfect. We need to get better in many areas, but we've got a great culture.
And that's important, the fact that you only lost 2 people and you were able to retain basically your entire team is a testament of itself of the culture, which, is very, very important. And unfortunately, most people, I would say, sometimes overlook, or that I would say is widely thrown about. You have the receipts, as they say nowadays.
Right, that's right.
That what you've built there is a success formula. So kudos to you on that. Let's talk a little bit about your growth plan, going forward, with emerging AI and the tech industry reshaping, with everything out there. What's your growth plan, and where do you see you guys? What would be your biggest challenge moving forward?
Yeah, so first off, about just kind of geographic growth plan. Like I said, I'm in charge of growth, both organic and inorganic. Geographically, we want to continue to grow in the Midwest and the Southeast. We believe from a cultural point, we fit in. That's kind of fit in really well in those areas. And from a growth perspective, where we see the country continuing to grow, and most importantly, where people are continuing to live and move into those areas, the Midwest and the Southeast is where we fit in for today anyway. When you bring in how we're going to grow, we're trying to become more efficient. One of the things we're trying to get better at right now as a firm is leverage. We feel like, you don't want a partner doing, plugging in your tax return. You want a partner reviewing your tax return, right? That's just an extreme example of what we're trying to do is leverage work down to the appropriate level. It'll help with cost for the clients. That helps with growth. It helps with profitability, helps with recruiting, because if you have the younger staff, the work themselves, they're going to move up the rankings faster. So those are a couple of things that we're focused on right now.
Nice.
I have no doubt that you're going to continue to grow. I was at different locations that you all are currently in, and I really, in fact, I was talking about a couple of them yesterday, the Jupiter, Vero area, and just the intellect there is just phenomenal. So we'll see what you look like in the next decade. But let's talk about some emerging you're seeing. Everybody's AI and stuff like that. But talk about the emerging trends that you see is going to reshape the future of the industry.
We play in the professional service world. We've got a full service CPA firm. We've got a full service wealth management arm. We've got a full service technology arm. It's a managed service provider. And then we've got a full service investigative arm. So those are our 4 business units. I will tell you what is completely reshaping our industry today, and those industries today, is private equity. Private equity has come in and they are investing in the professional service world, accounting firms specific, MSPs, wealth management arms, RIAs. And so there was a stat that I read, and I want to say 20 of the top 40 firms, or maybe it's 20 of the top 50 firms, are private equity owned today in this world. But that only started, Sean and Roy, probably 4 years ago.
Right.
So it has happened really, really fast.
Okay.
And it has not slowed down ever since. Now, obviously, it will have to slow down at some point. I think my opinion is it's great for the industry. It is not Rehmann's plan. Actually, we just came from a board meeting last week. We want to continue to grow the way we're growing. We want to grow organically and inorganically, but with like-minded people, with people that want to grow, the people that want to help be in charge of our own destinies. I think private equity is good for the industry, and the reason being it's making all of us better. They're continuing to spend more money on technology. They're continuing to find efficiencies, a faster way to do a tax return. AI is a huge player in this, whether it be audit or tax. The whole world is being turned upside down on that. AI, I mean, here's an example. X amount of years back, we had an intern from UCF or Florida State, and they were doing data entry for the tax return. They'd put your, the K1s in and all this. Well, now you can scan that document and it goes right into the right box it's supposed to be at. So it is already, now it's expensive. We're spending a lot of money on this software, but it's already showing that it's saving time, whether you do audit or a tax return or whatever it might be. You're doing some kind of Monte Carlo projection for the management arm. It's amazing what it has done in just my, call it 20 years in the space. It really has. I think the next 5 years is just going to be even more of a change because of technology, because of AI, which again, I see change and opportunity. I don't see it as a threat at all.
So a couple of things, Steve. Private equity, are they going Grant Thornton level, Deloitte levels, or they're staying downstream, gobbling up like a Carl Riggs and firms like that?
So they have not invested in a big four firm yet, so not the big four yet, but everything behind that, yes.
Really?
So yeah, so again, of 20 of the top 50 firms in the country have taken private equity. So and top 100, it's firms, it's $3 million firms,
Wow.
it runs and I get it. What private equity sees is the industry has a lot of money over the X amount of years. Well, it's with a tougher economy, it's tough to deploy that capital. But what they see in the CPA world is they see recurring revenue, right?
Right, that's right.
Bad economy, companies need their audited financial statements. Good economy or bad economy, you need your tax return filed. So they see that, and they see a lot of inefficiencies in our industry. We need to get better. We need to get more efficient. And they're seeing, again, AI right now, let's say it, make up a 300 man hours to do that audit. Well, they think in 5 years, it's going to be 50 man hours to do that same audit. So because of technology and, it's difficult to find people. But I was graduating from school now. I think an accounting degree is a great place to be. It's just a great foundation to have.
Right. So I'm sure you're getting those calls from those private equity firms pretending that they're calling you about ACG.
So it's so funny, Sean, as you know, like when I started out, in my role many years ago, I'm trying to remember, I was 2006, I think I started at Vestal and Weiler. I would start, private equity really knew what private equity was. It wasn't we would do everything, or I would do everything I can to get in front of these folks.
Right.
And because again, they're buying and selling companies, well, they're going to need audited and tax for their portfolio companies. Well, now you're right. Because of that, it has changed, and they actually are calling on us, which is really nice. And we've established some good relationships, but private equity is not our future anytime soon or at all. Honestly, we really like what we're doing. We think we can get better. What they're doing, they're investing in technology, they're investing in their people, they're investing in efficiencies, and we feel like we can do all those same things without private equity.
Right. Well, I'm sure that you know the landscape and know how to business. I was surprised when I ran into a managing partner for Carl Riggs, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we were private owned." I'm like, wow. Okay. Very cool.
It's been like 4 years in the industry.
Right. Well, let's go beyond the boardroom, the executive suite, and let's talk about how your leadership extends in the community. Whether the Florida Sports Foundation, not the Florida Sports Foundation. That's what I was on the board of when you and I went to the governor's baseball event over in St. Pete. Which I got a picture.
I saw a picture of that, by the way.
Yeah.
Who'd you meet there?
Bill Murray, remember?
That's right. Bill Murray.
Grew up with my family. So he went to New Trier High School up in Chicago. I think he dated my Aunt Kathy for a little while, and he knew my
That's
dad
right.
through some baseball. So I'd never forget. He saw my name tag, and he was so kind. And I mean, he is genuine in person as he is on TV. So anyway, that was a highlight for me, Sean. That was all because of you. So that was kind
That
of you.
was awesome, wasn't it?
That was really cool.
Did you get any pictures from that?
I don't think I ever did. That's a good question.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure I ever did.
That trip was for you.
Well,
Now,
you were a
you
lot
was
more
a big
important than
baseball
me.
guy. That
I
was
was.
for all of the work that you had done at ACG, right? Well, again, we killed it at ACG, and I'm like, man, how do I get governor's office, and I'm like, well, Steve's a big baseball guy. Let me invite him, and sure enough, and then you get to meet, Bill Murray, and man, that brings back great memories. But let's talk about, again, your chairmanship at the Florida Citrus Sports, which I'm a big fan of. Obviously, ACG Global. Again, I thought that I'd be on that board, and to have you on it couldn't have been when I saw that announcement, heard that announcement. Like I said, that was like a birthday gift to see you on that, and then to know that you were gonna that you ran Orlando. What drives your passion for both civic, and I was talking to Roy earlier. You sat on the board with my wife at the church, the HR boards. Clearly, you're giving back not just on the business side, but you're giving back on the civic side. What drives that passion for both civic and professional leadership like that, Steve?
Well, it's nice of you to ask, Sean. I mean, it's people honestly that set the path, and Roy and I were
Wait,
talking.
wait, wait. I'm not that old, man.
Well, I mean, but you were the founder of ACG in Orlando, and my ACG exists. So, I mean, Roy and I were talking before the podcast, and we were all given God-given abilities, and our time on Earth is only so long. So, why don't we give back and make the most of it, right? I mean, that's
Right,
easier
that's right.
said than done for sure, and I am far from perfect, and I wish I would do more, but I love being involved in the community. I love meeting new people. So Florida Citrus here, I'll talk about them each real quickly. Great organization. At one point, they really put on a bowl game or a couple bowl games in Orlando at the Citrus Bowl, but they have just evolved. Last year, they
Right.
had over 1 million people come
That is amazing.
into that 20 events. Steve Hogan, who's our CEO, has just done an amazing job. And now they're doing a dollar renovation of the stadium and the area around it, that from TDT dollars, and it's just a staple for Orlando, a staple
Right.
for our community, and it just makes us better and better. So that's been really fun. ACG, kind of a similar thing. It's really focused again M&A scene globally, and probably every private equity group in the country, I think, is involved at least or a member. There's over
Right.
15,000 members, and honestly, for me to be the chair of that board of the global board I was just really fortunate. I would call it right place, right time. I was very, very fortunate, and had a ton of fun, met a bunch of great people. It's both those organizations, a huge place in my heart for sure. And again, you meet people. I got more than I gave. I tried to give everything I have, but you just learn so much,
Right.
and meet some wonderful people in this world. So.
Last thing I want to ask him, just the piggyback off it. I have an idea of how it influenced, but tell me, how did those roles help, you at Raymond, like it's helped you? Because clearly, you're in the C-suite of a fast-growing national accounting firm, and those roles are not small roles. You just drove up 15,000 members. And don't talk about Intergrowth, where there's what, a
Yeah,
couple of
about
10,000
5,000,
people.
I think
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
5,000 people hanging out, and you've been a leader of that. So, and these are high intellect individuals. So anyway, talk about that for us.
Well, again, I would tell you I'm fortunate to have been in those roles. I would say, how does it help me at Raymond? One are just the connections and networking for sure. Some of the people that I've met, I've been so fortunate. My role at Raymond, I do a lot of public speaking, as you can imagine. So those roles were great just in preparation, right? You put yourself in different experiences where you're speaking next to, the coaches or the presidents of these schools in front of hundreds of people, to speak in front of over 4,000 people at ACG, right? Your nerves get going, and bringing it back to like my sports days, it's like getting ready to play a game, and it's just fun, right?
Right.
Those juices flowing a little bit again, like you're getting ready to at bat, or you're, taking a free, whatever it might be. And so I just think, I think it's good to put yourself in uncomfortable situations and to see what you're made out of, and just continue to get better and better, and just to challenge yourself. It's life would be boring if it was easy. Life's a challenge, and we need to work hard and get the most out of our abilities. Is kind of what I try to preach, and I try to follow myself. But again, there's a lot of areas I need to get better at too.
Amazing that with everything going on, that you find the passion, and I would say the love to give back to communities. And so one of the things that I also wanted to touch on real quick here, going back to that, is that you're also a board member of the Dr. Phillips Charities, which really supports minority empowerment. Can you share a story or initiative that's especially meaningful to you and with that organization?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. It's an organization that I have a huge heart for. And Ken Robinson, similar to Steve Hogan, we've got an amazing leader in Ken Robinson who's been there for many years. And you've got some amazing leaders behind him as well. The Dr. Phillips story is amazing. We don't have time to share that, but it's just amazing what he did and what the family did. They've enabled us as a foundation, Dr. Phillips Charities, to deploy somewhere between $12 and $13 million per year into the Central Florida communities. Dr. Phillips' name all over town. I saw something, I think it was yesterday, they opened the nursing school for UCF. Dr. Phillips was a big donor of, obviously, the Performing Arts Center.
The Performing Arts,
the Performing Arts Center is in an amazing facility for the size city that Orlando is. We are so fortunate to have that. That wouldn't have happened had it not been for Dr. Phillips Charities. You see the Dr. Phillips name all over town, and arts, education. We just have a passion for different things, and it's really cool. It's not just donations that we make. There are micro grants that we make, different organizations, different nonprofits. And that one, honestly, is a blessing to be a part of, because when you get to pick and choose where those dollars are going every year, we as a board take very, very seriously. And you just want to support really good people. Lift Orlando. If either of you are familiar with Lift Orlando,
absolutely.
Dr. Phillips Charity has been a huge supporter of that. Tom Sidema was really that. Harold Mills was involved. Some just great people.
Yeah, great people.
And so it's been anyway. It's just to be a part of Dr. Phillips. I look forward to continuing that. That's been a lot of fun.
Well, that's awesome. And, thank you for all you're doing there. I mean, going and traveling to other cities, seeing the state-of-the-art performing arts have downtown here. But not only that, but the Dr. Phillips name, and it's with so many different things around here. We're truly blessed, but even more so blessed that people are involved with that and steering it in the right direction. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. We're
awesome.
Trying. We're trying. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, it's got great leaders. That's what all those organizations. You'll see one theme: great leaders. I always be involved in team up with great leaders. It makes the board, as you both know, it makes your board a lot easier.
That's right. Well, perfect segue here, because I want to shift gears, Sean, and talk about some of the challenges Steve has faced and the lessons he's learned. So take it away.
Yeah, no, when I saw this question, I chuckled because, I spent 8 years at Deloitte, and my role working directly with the senior partners. And so I understand, not intimately, but I saw a lot of the challenge. So Steve, you mentioned, issues with partners as a challenging moment for you. So what helped you push through those times?
I think at any professional service firm, there are challenges at times, whether you're with a firm of 3 partners or 3,000 partners, right? You've got a lot of people that are really smart, a lot of type A people that want it their way. And there's not always a right or wrong answer in many of these situations. You asked, one of the biggest challenges in my career, no question. We're making decisions now as an executive leadership team at Rehmann, for example, 1,100 employees. Every decision that we make, someone's going to be unhappy. It's inevitable. Someone's going to be unhappy. Again, whether it's 3 partners or 3,000 you can't keep everyone happy. So there have been times where, man, it's just, you put up your hands, whether it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago or today, man, this is a grind. Should I keep doing it? And I come back to life's not easy. There's no job out there that you're going to, put your feet up and kick back and just collect a paycheck. I don't believe that. If you want to continue to get better and continue to excel at whatever it might be, life's full of challenges. In my mind, my parents didn't raise me to be a quitter, right? Like I said earlier, I want to get the most out of my God-given ability. And sometimes that means you got to roll up your sleeves. You got to do what you think is best for the firm and best for the people. And at the end of the day, you got to say, hey, I know so-and-so doesn't agree with me, but I'm doing the best I possibly can. At 46 years old, I'm a little better. Hopefully I'm a little better at that today. I think your skin gets a little bit thicker. Right. But it's, it's not fun to disagree with people, right? It's not fun to not make people happy, but in leadership positions, and CEO is wonderful at this. She keeps saying, Steve, we're leaders. We make decisions on what's right for the firm. And that's what we do. And you can't look back after that.
All right.
Nice. So I want to touch on two books that you've read here, and one of them being Crucial Conversations, that really touches on the topic of psychological safety. Of course, there's Never Eat Alone, which really, touches the concept of giving and leading through relationships. What's one lesson from those books that you apply regularly?
So Crucial Conversations, what I would take out of that is if there's something looming in your mind, kick the can down the road, have the conversation, do it very respectfully, do it the right way. You will feel better after. It's just the right thing to do. Hit it head on and make a hard decision. That's what, takeaways from that book, that one that sticks out. And on Never Eat Alone, completely different book, obviously. Someone gave this book when I was younger, and it was basically like, look, everybody throughout the day needs to eat. You either sit at your desk and eat alone, or you could, break bread with somebody and try to do your best to learn something from that person, connect with that person, whether it be business related or not. That person might be struggling with. Maybe you can be a sounding to that person. Or on the business front, listen, learn. They could educate you on a topic that you're not familiar with. But really, what you're doing is you're developing a relationship, and that's so much of what life's all about is giving back, trying to be a good friend, whether it's a husband or a friend. And we're all, like I said earlier, life's difficult. We all have our challenges, and we all need a friend every once in a while.
That's true. So great advice there. Great reflection, I should say. And today's day, and I think where everybody's so caught up in their small little digital world, nobody tends to reach out anymore and look to, as you said, break bread and get to know someone else and build a relationship. And sometimes it's that small relationship, that meaningless relationship that you establish that pays huge dividends down the road. But, and I think one of the things today as well are expecting more instant relationships take time. It's trust. It's you plant the seed that has to grow.
Well said, Roy. And with my kids, right, I have a sophomore, 2 daughters. Those are some of the values that we try to preach. Sometimes it's just experience. We can say whatever we want, but they need to learn on their own. And that was well said by you.
Well, I often tell my kids and others, there's no here's the perfect manual to parenting. Right. Speaking about the younger generation and kids, etc., what advice would you give to college students or young professionals entering the business world today?
Well, that's a great question. And again, my kids aren't far off from that age. What I would tell them and what I tell my kids is find something in life you're passionate in. Mm-hmm. We spend so much time, all 3 of us and everyone else, you spend so much time at your job. I am so fortunate where I enjoy my job, right? I enjoy what I do. Are there days that I don't have fun? Absolutely. Right. But I really do enjoy it. And do I enjoy the debits and credits of accounting? No, that's not it. It's the people. I enjoy the people. So I tell my kids, and I would tell anyone graduating from college right now, try to find something you're passionate about. Don't worry so much about the money. you can make money in so many different industries. I remember one of our clients, started as a garbage man and built this company, this billion-dollar company. He's still, to this day, one of the most humble people in the world. He's going to tell you he's a garbage man. That's what he does. And it's just, but he had a passion for the trash industry. You can find passions in so many different things. I think it's so exciting. I would love to start all over. I'm so fortunate for where I am, but starting all over, we're so blessed with this life, man, because life is too short. So enjoy what you do. I don't care if it's if you enjoy, maybe you want to be some kind of an attorney, numbers, finance, accounting, whatever it might be, but just, find something that you find a class that you enjoy, do some that class way. You could probably type it into Chat GPT. If I enjoy, what are good, professions, or what are some professions that you'll probably find some professions that you never even heard of before.
That's right.
Yeah. Good point there. And I would say that, we tend to stick at what I call surface knowledge. We'll get the first layer, and that's where we go. My advice that I often give people, and especially kids nowadays as well, and great advice, by the way, Steve, is be passionate about what you do and create your opportunities. Wait for opportunities to come to create your opportunities out there and kick doors open. And Sean, I know you're a big proponent of that.
Listen, these last few minutes is what this podcast to me is all about. I have been saying that for 20-something years about enjoying where we're at. Most people worry about what the neighbor is doing instead of worrying about what they're doing, and just enjoy it. And so I used to tell, I've done some mentoring around here and going to the schools and speaking. And I've talked about Wade Huizenga, Steve, which Wayne started collecting trash in Minnesota, not Minnesota, but Michigan, 40 years ago, and built a $1 billion business, 20-something years ago before able to buy, the
Dolphin and everything else,
Blockbuster, and AutoNation. Because he enjoyed, kind of like with your client, he enjoyed what he did. And so, man, I love the idea of more and more people just enjoying what God has given to them, or whatever they believe has given to them, their assignment in life. And I post that a lot. I'm so grateful for my assignment, and it ain't easy. Like you say, ain't easy, bro. Not at all. But look, let's you've said some of these things multiple times on the cast that we've had so far, but I want to touch on it again and just make sure that we have wealth of knowledge, man. And I just, you've cultivated this reputation of growth, right? You've built things at the ACG if it wasn't for you, and also, and I tell everybody that. And so that the organization is still the same it was 20 years ago. We blew that thing up, and you were at the spear of that, at the top of that spear. Does it mean to you, and how do you instill it across your teams about cultivating a spirit of growth culturally?
So it's a great question. So we've got 1,100 employees, a lot of, if you look at our industries that we're in, more introverted than extroverted. Okay. So you talk about growth, and when you're speaking to people about growth and different ways there, it's hard. Everyone is comfortable picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, Sean, would you go to lunch with me today? Hey, Roy, would you go have a beer? Or would you go have breakfast?" That talked about business. So what I tell people, first of all, one way to grow a firm. There's not one way to grow a practice. Many people are very successful in many different ways. How I have had success in the past is through relationships. It's through people like you, Sean. Ooh. It is developing relationships, doing them for the right reasons, not meeting people because you're asking them for business. You're developing relationships because you truly care about that person. You absolutely want to learn that person's doing, and you meet with people that you care about and that you want to help, and it just naturally happens. I believe the best way to develop relationships is what I say, the rifle versus the shotgun approach. Both approaches are important. Don't get me wrong. You need the branding out there. You need people to know who Rehmann is. That's really important. But what people are going to, quote unquote, buy from are the individuals and the relationships and the people that they trust. You don't have to be this slick salesperson to develop business. Honestly, I would rather buy from that person that is more introverted and is more, just someone that you can truly, truly trust. And that they're going to do a good job. And I feel like that's what we talk about. That's what we preach. There's no question in the service world. There are some people that rainmaking or bringing in clients, it comes more naturally to than others, and that's okay. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, but we can all get better in different areas. By the way, I will tell you, another book that I love, Strengths Finder. I'm a huge believer in playing to your strengths. If you play to your strengths and you enjoy what you do, you're going to do such a better job at it. There's only you don't want, I always joke around, you don't want me doing your tax return. That would not be my highest and best time. But there are certain people that are really, really good at that. My gifts or my abilities are different. And there's not better or worse. It's just different.
I think great point and great advice on the books. There's a set, the most successful business leaders out there, most successful people in general surround themselves by people who are smarter than they are.
I know that one. Steve was one. He was working with me, and I'm like, I was the leader, and I'm like, hey, why can't you get to the baseball game?
You think about that. You are presidents over the years. You think about CEOs over the years. The CEOs, the presidents, those are the ones that get all the credit. But the ones that are really good, they surround themselves with the cabinet that is really, really a great foundation. So, Roy, that's very well spoken. I agree completely with that.
And speaking of cabinets, you've kind of led me here into my next question very nicely. And the question is, if you could create a dream board of it from any era, right? Who would be on it, and what would you hope to learn from them?
That's a tough one. I'd have so many questions about that, what industry and all that, but a couple are Ronald Reagan. I just think he was a great leader, right? I'm not going to think of the industry that worked here, but Ronald Reagan was no doubt amazing leader. I think that he had the people skills. Books I've read about him were just spectacular. Bonhoeffer, if you haven't heard of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, his story is unbelievable. He was a pastor during World War II. The things that he went through and the bravery that he had, just unbelievable. Maybe my favorite book of all time. Many times I remind myself when I have a hard day, when I'm tired or whatever it might be, think of Dietrich Bonhoeffer and all that he went through, and ultimately had to give his life, or his life was taken. Powerful.
He's standing up against Hitler?
He was.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
A lot that goes into that, and I really, I'll give you the book if you want. I'm happy to just Eric Matexis. He's a great writer. Phenomenal story.
I read Eric's book on Wilberforce, abolishing slavery in England.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great book that he wrote.
Yeah, for sure. And then Steve Jobs is just an idea guy. Obviously, Warren Buffett has been just amazingly successful. I think I've read every Warren Buffett book, and what an investor he is, and it still is, which is just unbelievable. I pride myself on being an idea guy, a visionary, but obviously I don't hold a candle to Steve Jobs. But I love, just the passion and the ideas, the creativity that someone like he had is just unbelievable. And still, after gone, to see what Apple has done. And he truly set a company up bigger than him, right? He laid the foundation, and we always say that we want to create an institution, right? We'll do 250 million in revenue this year. We're trying to be bigger than any one of us. We are, but we're trying to create an institution and grow the right way. We want to grow with good clients. We want to grow with good people. And, those are a few of the people that I would have loved and learn from. And Boy, what a directors that would be, huh?
I was about to say,
No doubt. No
you,
doubt.
you'd certainly be the envy with Warren Buffett and Steve Jobs on there in of themselves. I would say that you'd probably be to triple that 250 million figure there.
Yeah,
Right.
that'd be pretty cool. And then I'd love them. And there's sports guys. So then there's a side of me that would love for Jack Nicklaus, huge fan of his.
Oh, very-
Michael Jordan, huge fan of
Yeah.
his. You know, like certain people like that. When I watch them compete, there was just nothing like that. You know, and boy,
Right.
I have a lot of respect for those people.
Yeah, no, well said. Great board. Well rounded off with Jack and Nicholas and Michael. Sean, I think we'll be pressed hard to find a board to compete
Somebody
against
else with that.
right? You
Right.
know, that's so Steve, I got to ask you here. We're nearing the top here, but if you go back in life and change one thing, what would it be and why?
This question. I don't think I would change anything, and this is why. Boy, there were some challenges I've had throughout life, right? Everyone has challenges. I've been very fortunate, had a very fortunate life, but there's certain days you're just like, man, I'm frustrated, whatever it might be, whether it be personally or professionally. But I do believe, and I think back to some of my earlier years in my career and some of those challenges, that they made me stronger and they made me who I am today. So I wouldn't change anything, even though I've had tons of failures and I've made tons of mistakes. I don't think I'd change any of them because that's what made me of who I am today. And honestly, I love telling those mistakes and those failures that I had to my kids, and to show that you don't have to be perfect in this life.
Yeah.
I always say there's a couple rules that we have in our. First, you got to treat everyone with respect, have fun, and do your best. Life's not that hard if you do those things, and
Amen.
and I don't think you can do those things fully if I didn't have some of those failures and if I didn't have some of those things that I really struggled with.
Well, there's the saying that adversity builds character, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So well said there, Steve. This has been great. Before we start going down the rounding off path here, I'm sure our listeners out there would love to connect with you, more about you, and learn more about Rehmann. How best would they go about that?
Well, I'd love to hear from anybody. LinkedIn is probably the best. I need to be better on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn and just social media in general is the future. But yeah, definitely LinkedIn. Love to connect with anybody and help. I'd love to talk to them in any way. And again, because of people like Sean, we love giving back, right? You love helping people. I was at a quick party last night for my neighbor, and he had his kids there, and some other friends had their kids there, and they're now graduating from college, and they're looking for their job. It's a hard job market right now. So the networking and just the friendships that were happening from there. Hey, here's my number. Give me a call. I'd love to help. Whether we have a job for them or maybe someone I know has a job for them. Those types of things. That's what life's all about, right?
It is.
We're here to make this world a better place. And is that I think it's Ralph Waldo Emerson, right? To leave this world a little better than we got here. Again, I'm not saying I'm successful in doing that, but that's my goal every day.
Awesome. Well, thank you for this amazing time and
Absolutely.
sharing your amazing story and for being who you are and all that you do. I've heard a lot about you from Sean, and when we were putting together our list of who we'd love to have on the podcast, Sean was up there with your flag,
Well,
big and proud. But and he explained
Yes.
me why. Honored today to say that I've had the opportunity to spend time with you, and that I got to meet you through Sean and learn more about you. So thank you.
Well, thank you both. I appreciate it very much. Loved the time that we spent together, and you're doing a great job. And what a time it was for me. I really enjoyed the hour.
Well, Steve, it's been phenomenal. I knew it was gonna be. Ain't no thinking about it. I knew it was gonna be phenomenal. You have an incredible story, an incredible human being. Please pass on my hellos to Brooke and the kids, especially the baby girl who, I like I said, there was about 4 years where she was in my class, Dana and I's class, and please pass along a hello to your in-laws. Roy, his father-in-law is a Lambda Chi from Florida State as well.
We won't hold the Florida State against him as Miami guys, but we'll welcome him as a Lambda Chi.
Sean, it's interesting you say that. You reminded me that you and Dana taught our now 1-year-old.
Right.
As you imagine, our we have good days and we have bad days with our 18-year-old. I think, I don't know, 18-year-old girls, they kind of know everything, right? You just ask them and they know everything. So might have to reintroduce you here one of these days and ask you to take her to lunch for me. And, anyway, no, I'm just joking. But I'm fortunate with great kids. Love them to death. Yeah, I mean, raising kids is different today than I think it was when our parents raised us.
Right.
No question about it.
Very good. Well, it was a phenomenal time, Steve, again, man. We appreciate it. We will have you back in the future, and keep doing the phenomenal work you're doing, and see you on sometime soon.
Thank you. Thank you both. Really appreciate it. And
thank you. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Dynamic Business Leaders Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who would benefit from Steve's story. And Sean, I'll leave you
until next time. Yeah, and until next time, stay curious, stay driven, and keep leading with purpose, man. That purpose thing for me, I've been purpose driven for a long time. And Steve, you remember we did Church-Wide Life.
Absolutely.
What a phenomenal study we did. So anyway, with that, we'll sign off here.
Appreciate you all. Hi, I'm Roy Richardson, host of the Dynamic Business Leaders Podcast. Are you a business owner or a leader of a successful business? If yes, we'd love to have you as a guest on our program. Our goal is simple. We provide a platform for leaders to share their experiences to benefit others. We want to hear your story, how you got started, the challenges you faced along the way, and your passion today. If this sounds like you or you know someone who fits these criteria, then be sure to get in touch with us by visiting our website linked in the episode description below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell to be notified when our next episode goes live. Or, if you'd rather listen to us during your car rides, you can also follow us on your favorite audio channel using your podcatcher. Thanks again, and remember, keep crushing it.